YouTube, welcome to my YouTube channel, Annabelle, and today I am going to be reviewing Season 2 of Doctor Who, Episode 5, with the 15th Doctor as played by Ncuti Gatwa. Yes, I know I have to say that every time, sorry, it's the rules. So, let's get to the review of the story and the engine. Well, what an episode. So much was shoved into episode 5, the story and the engine. I'm loving the fact that we got the spiders back. I'm loving the fact that we got a web. I'm loving the fact that we're doing the opposite this time. We're saving the gods, not killing the gods, which is really interesting considering we're fighting the pantheon of chaos. Yeah, but then again, we did kill the Goblin King. He got impaled on a Church of England spire. Yeah, with good old Ruby Sunday, saving Ruby Sunday. So there's precedent for this, and if you actually look at Doctor Who lore, there is precedent for things outside the divine. The gods are written into Doctor Who, even though people consider it a science fiction show. Look it up, there's precedent. Yes, we did have the pyramids of Mars, Sutek and all, and the Eternal Toymaker, but when are we seeing the Black and White Guardian? When are they coming back, Russell? Anyway, and a side note, which really ground my gears, it grinded my gears, it really did. If they had done a white female doctor with as much respect as they had done a black male doctor, we wouldn't have had the disaster that was Jodie Whittaker's writing. Sorry, just pointing that out, because there were no women-focused episodes that I felt that represented the Doctor being a woman. And I know people are like, but it's not a cultural group. And I'm like, yeah, but women are half the population. We didn't even have an episode where it was like period issues. It could have been an aside. It could have been a thing. It could have been, oh, maybe my female companion will help me out with this. But no, they crammed her TARDIS full of men, particularly an old man who was played wonderfully. I really like the character. I really like the concept. But they gave it to a blonde woman, and he spoke over her to give her the authority to be the Doctor. It was a bit annoying at times. Sorry, that's an aside. I loved the representation of the African culture, and I loved the fact that the 15th Doctor has got that, because that is how you actually do inclusivity. And I'm loving the fact that we reference, yes, this is the first time I've had a black body, and there are some places where I don't feel comfortable. I'm loving the fact that Belinda said, yeah, that's why my good nan takes me to India. It is important. Cultural heritage matters, particularly if you are a different skin tone. I really liked that, but what was so infuriating is that this episode highlighted how badly they bungled a female white doctor. I'm just pointing that out. Overall, did I like it? I'm loving any reference to Anansi. He's a great storyteller. Look him up. He's brilliant. I'm loving the fact that we had Norse gods, we had other gods, we had just, oh, it was just delicious. And we had also, I think, had references to the gods being, cough, cough, like producers and media companies that Russell T Davies has written for. I loved that. So there's a metaphor. There's so many metaphors in this one. I don't know which one to start. They're all so juicy and delicious. I'm loving the brain that turned into a tree. The story engine is such a fascinating concept. And the animation was brilliantly done. I'm loving that. I love the fact that the Doctor went up and started saying, Dalek, Cybermen, as if to try and feed it. But when he was actually sitting in the chair, he didn't, because he didn't want them in the story engine, because that's so bad. But in the end, he put himself in there, and all the different incarnations. Yes, I am getting to the female Black Doctor. I love the fact that we may or may not get her whole story. But if we're going to get little asides with her in, I'm all for it, because her story seems to be rather delicious. Oh, this is so good. I'm loving the fact that we got the braids and the reference to messages being put in black braided hair, because obviously in black culture, hairdos, it all matters. I'm loving that we had the ode to dreadlocks and the ode to the afro. It's beautiful, and the ode to braids. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful episode. I love that in barbershops people tell stories, because that happens in white female culture, because when we go to the hairdressers, we have conversations with our hairdressers, which is really, really good. And I like the fact that that got referenced. Obviously not the white female going to the hairdressers, but in black culture, you tell stories with your hairdresser, and that, I think, is pretty much what happens all over the world. Everybody tells their hairdresser stories. So hairdressers end up collecting loads and loads and loads of stories, like they're story keepers. And that's fascinating in itself. The episode is 5 out of 5. I just enjoyed it. We got 6 billion different episodes in this one because we had so many stories to choose from. Fascinating. So many interesting concepts and gods. I'm loving the fact that the timeless child turned up, that little black kid that waved. Some people hate the child of time or whatever it is, but it's quite clear if you haven't picked up on the fact that the Doctor is some kind of god that got dumped for reasons unknown so that they could become the Doctor and Doctor things, which is fascinating because is perhaps Rose that black child as an adult? Answers on a postcard. Who knows? I'm just putting it out there. Yes, we did get to see our obligatory Mrs. Flood in that episode. I'm loving Nancy's daughter. It was so respectful. Dignity and culture was beautifully done, beautifully represented, beautifully loved. And I'm loving the fact that we actually saw one of the Indian gods and then Belinda was in front of it. It's wonderful, wonderful. There's wonderful imagery, there's wonderful metaphor, there's wonderful simile going on here. It was just brilliant. Comparing like and as, it was just the whole thing. The brain, it was just stunning on so many levels. I'm loving the fact that they're keeping up doing the 2D. We don't see enough 2D cartoons anymore. It's a shame. We need more. It's 5 out of 5 from me. Some people might find it offensive. I didn't find it offensive. I think you need to grow up with that kind of thing, because anything that mentions religion is going to be controversial. You're going to upset somebody. Sorry. I mean, look at that lovely Mary movie that Netflix did, and then everybody kicked off because it was too, and I quote, supernatural. I'm like, have you read the Bible? It's full of supernatural happenings, full of the divine. The divine is supernatural because it is unearthly power. Help. That is just what I say. Help. Loved it. 5 out of 5 from me. Episode 5 is 5. I really enjoyed it. Wentleg's skin was very, very shiny all the way through. Just noted it. And I love the fact that the Doctor's dark side is now bubbling out. And, you know, you really feel it. You feel, oh, what was that episode with the 11th Doctor where that woman said, you can't trust him because he's got a slither of ice in his heart? You actually felt it towards the end of this episode because you weren't sure what he was going to do. I love the fact that we got to see, you know, from 1 to 15, 14, whatever. 16, if you include, I don't know, where does the War Dog, who knows how many Doctors we're on. There's too many variables, people. But I loved it. It was delicious. This episode you could rewatch again and again and again. It's like peeling an onion and you would get more out of it. But then again, I have a funny feeling that this season, on a second watch, is going to be like peeling an onion. You're going to be able to see, that's that Easter egg, that's this Easter egg, Mrs. Flood this, Mrs. Flood that, because it's all leading. I'm loving the fact, and they may have just given away the destination of where we're actually going to see the gods. It's possible that is what we're doing. And I mean, I appreciate we've seen the Pantheon of Chaos. They're popping up all over the place with their harbingers. But it's interesting that this god, the god of storytelling, who once was mortal, collected all the information and then published books, all books, religious or otherwise. I love that as a concept. I find that fascinating. Anyway, it's 5 out of 5 from me. Watch this episode. I really enjoyed it. Anyway, my review is done. Well, I hope you enjoyed my review of Doctor Who Season 2, Episode 5, The Story and the Engine, with the 15th Doctor as played by Shooter Gatbar. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe and click the notification bell for my next video. Thank you so much for the support. Bye!